2025. Mr. Lauer, can you please call the roll?
I've not heard from Ms. Shanafelt. Dr. Peruska will not be here tonight. Mr. Curry?
Here.
Mr. Steigel?
Here.
Mr. Kozer?
Here.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Rouse is going to be here, but he's going to be late.
Okay, I'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item on the agenda should be special reports. There are none, so we'll move into approval of the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the regular Township Council meeting held on February 10th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 4-0 on that one. Next will be audience comments. This is an opportunity for a member of the audience to speak to council on a non-agenda item for up to 5 minutes. Is there anybody in the audience? You just state your name and address, sign in.
Everyone. Hi, I'm Chris Todd, 801 Ashwood Drive. I have a question that's probably for Mr. Lauer, and the question is, are there any public garden spaces available in Peters Township that can be cared for / sponsored by community groups? And how does one go about doing that?
If what you're asking is, are there flower gardens that are cared for?
Yes.
If you're talking, or vegetable gardens?
Of that ilk? Yes.
There actually are 3 flower gardens that have been for many years planted by volunteer groups. But in terms of vegetable gardens, we don't have
No,
that.
flowers
Yeah.
probably, more
Yeah.
landscaping type thing.
Yeah, so here at the municipal building, there's one. At the intersection of Thomas Road, there's another. At the intersection of Center Church Road, there's a third.
Are they still covered by groups?
Yes.
Are there additional ones available?
If you're having interest, let us see whether we can find a place where we could do that.
That's the question.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I would think so.
Thank you all. Anybody else in the audience? Okay, we'll move into unfinished business. Not seeing anything there. So, new business. First item will be appointment of a member to the Peters Township Environmental Quality.
Well, as has been the tradition here, we had 3 people come in, and actually pretty spectacular opportunities for the township to use some of those people. We thank them for coming forward. I think we've decided George Ross would be the name that we're talking about.
So you're going to make that motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second to appoint George Ross. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's 4-0. Next item will be approval of the Courtyards at Valley Brook final plan.
Before council tonight for action is the Courtyards at Valley Brook final plan. On August 26, Peters Township Council approved the preliminary plan. On December 12, Peters Township received an application for a final land development approval titled the Courtyards at Valley Brook. Council needs to take action on this plan by March 24th. The plan consists of 12 townhomes to be developed at 350 Valley Brook Road. Each townhouse unit will have its own driveway and garage with access to a common driveway that runs parallel and intersects Valley Brook Road at 2 locations. The layout of the common driveway is such that a future connection to the adjacent property to the west of the subject property can easily be made. A note's been placed on the plan indicating that the common driveway cannot become a public street in the future. On January 2nd, the applicant submitted a revised plan which was reviewed by the Planning Commission at their January 9th meeting. The plan was recommended for approval with conditions. Many of those conditions have been addressed, and a revised plan has been submitted for review by council. So in the manager's report, there's an outline of the conditions that are still pending. In addition, Mr. Holdren has recommended a number of conditions. For the most part, those are just minor in nature and aren't really significant in terms of the approval of the plan, but should be incorporated by council in their motion. One of the things that I do want to point out is that the plans do call for the establishment of an easement that runs the entire length of the driveway, and the purpose of that easement is to provide access to the property that's immediately adjacent where there right now is a stormwater management facility for the Georgetown property. The other thing that I want to point out that and this is provided for in the ordinance because it's not prohibited, but quite frankly, I think this would be problematic. At that location, there's a underground storage tank, and that tank looks something like this. If you've driven by the property on Valley Brook, you see these pipe that are sitting there. My concern is that at some point in time, that will need to be serviced or that will fail. It won't be in my lifetime, but it will occur at some point in time. And when that does, access to those units will be limited. And I don't think it's good public policy to allow stormwater tanks to be placed in driveways or cartways, whether they're public or private. We have tanks throughout the township. Those are all in parking areas. You've got one in this facility that's related to the police department that's in a parking area. We don't have tanks anywhere in driveways or cartways, and I'm not suggesting that the plan not be approved because this is provided for. What I am suggesting is that council should direct the planning department to draft language that prohibits this type of application in the future. So with that, I know the developer is prepared to make.
Now, is the location of those stormwater tanks going to be on the recorded plan? So will somebody who buys one of those units know that that's in front of their house?
I don't know whether it's on the recorded plan. It's on the final plan.
It's on the final land development plan, but not the record plan.
And that's something we can add to the
Yeah, I
recording
think-
plan if
I think
necessary.
that should be added, just
There's a condition.
because I don't want someone coming, it's probably not going to be our problem, because hopefully none of us are sitting here 40 years from now. But whoever's going to be sitting in our place shouldn't have to deal with someone who lives in one of those units coming in and saying, hey, I didn't know that was in front of my house.
You gonna make it a motion on
Well,
this?
we'll add that to the,
Okay.
No, but
oh, good.
Mr. Lowry had mentioned in regard to the plan, it's a plan that you've seen in the past in regard to discussions. And once again, we're here tonight seeking the council's approval for the final plans for the Courtyards at Valley Brook Road. I'm glad to answer any additional questions that the board might have.
How far down the road is this from the existing development of townhouses? What, Mallard Drive?
It's not immediately adjacent, but it's
Probably 300, 400, 500 feet.
yeah.
But it, in concept, is similar to what?
Well, these are townhouses. Those are, I'm not sure that I would consider those to be townhouses.
I think they're all single
Family,
family.
yeah.
Are you talking adjacent?
Yes.
There's some duplexes associated, but there
Right.
are patios and duplexes
Yeah,
within.
but these are more traditional
Yes.
townhouses that you're proposing.
Correct.
So this driveway, this is going to be a private drive, so it's not going to have a township street name or anything.
It will have a township street name because.
It has to have it for EMS, right?
Yes.
Yes, and yes.
And what's the
So
name of the
it's
street?
named Sanctuary Place.
It's a sanctuary place.
And I believe there was another plan that's been approved in the past in Peters Township, Marty Gillespie's piece where he has the townhomes. We have a couple of private drives where we have the same scenario where the private drives have some of the underground tanks. But
Where's that at?
Brookwood, Brookview,
The tanks are in the middle in that
Yeah, they're not.
center aisle.
Yeah, they're not in a.
I think there was the one little private cul-de-sac or stub street belonging to it. That's where, there was one in the main loop area, but there was a secondary one over in that section.
And even if that were true, I would still suggest to you that it's not in the public interest to
Yes,
have these.
I understand.
driveways.
Anybody got any questions? Anybody from the audience?
Does anybody in the audience wish to address council on this matter?
I'll make a motion that we approve the Courtyards at Valley Brook final plan as shown on drawings prepared by Keystone Surveying and Mapping dated February 13th, 2025. The Thomas Robinson Family LP, subject to the conditions of the planning commission, the planning directors, and did you make one?
Yes.
I want to add 2 conditions. I want to add a condition that the location of these stormwater tanks will be shown on the recorded plan, and I want to add a condition that every deed of conveyance will specifically say that Sanctuary Place is not a public road and will not be a public road. I don't want to repeat of what happened down on Mallard.
Well, that's my motion.
Team effort. Good job.
You going to second it?
Second. All right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Yep. Next item will be a request for sale of township-owned parcels. I think that the passage for our policy not to put any township-owned parcels for sale. Does anybody on council wish to deviate from that policy at this point?
I don't.
Paul, do you need a motion on this, or just something?
Well, yes, I think you do.
All right, I'll make a motion that we decline to place the property, what's the tax parcel number? Does it have a tax, there's not a tax parcel number on here. Okay, I'll just make a motion that we deny it with a request to sell the property that we own along Valley Brook Road.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's 4-0 on that one. Okay, next item is going to be an ordinance amending the Peters.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if council wanted to speak.
Well, I did it, but I addressed council, I didn't.
Yeah, you're here.
So, I didn't intend for that letter, of course, to result in an immediate discussion on whether it should be passed or not. What I was trying to do with the letter is to open a dialogue with Peters Township to see whether or not we could come up with a process to acquire that property to extend the current development onto that parcel. As you recall, we had originally leased that property as part of an exchange where we gave a neighboring parcel to the township, and we acquired a long-term lease to develop something on that property that could be used either for small retail, coffee shop, something like that. Right. And we've tried to do multiple things on this entire parcel for some time, and obviously there are some unique traffic implications that if you do attract too many people to that parcel, it becomes a little bit difficult. So we have looked more closely at what makes more sense for the community and what makes sense for that parcel, and the ultimate plan that was passed tonight is the one that makes most sense, converting it into a residential use. That parcel that we're talking about now, of course, is used as a stormwater retention area, and the idea was that perhaps it might make more sense for us to come up with a process for us to develop that in a way that's more meaningful both for the owner as well as the community, and whether it made sense to discuss an opportunity to acquire the property to construct townhomes on it, similar to what's going on the property that we discussed tonight. And so certainly did not want to force something or present something as it was tonight. I didn't want to force a vote or force it. I just thought I'd send a letter to see whether we could open a dialogue on that. So
yeah, I don't say you're not the first person that's sent us letters asking about property. There's been numerous. I can't even tell you how many, and it ends up going through the same process, and we end up in the same place. So, I mean, at this time, I think. Well, I mean, we voted.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, next item, an ordinance amending the Peters Township Code of Ordinances, Chapter 410.
So, one of the things that has occurred on Proby Road is that it's been repaved. We had a request in for a traffic calming study on Proby Road. We went back and looked at it after the paving was done, and one of the things that we asked Mr. Mudry to look at was the intersection of Proby and Oak Ridge Drive, particularly since the repaving of it has increased the speed on Proby Road, and there was concern about sight distance, particularly as you're coming out of Oak Ridge, looking to the right and attempting to make a left-hand turn. Mr. Mudry's believed that that intersection meets the warrants for a three-way stop, and it's our recommendation that we follow Mr. Mudry's recommendation and approve Ordinance 913, amending the Peters Township Code of Ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, full disclosure, I live on Oak Ridge. I did not bring this up. I don't know who brought it up, but I definitely agree with them on this. With a motion and a second, any further discussion on this?
Yeah, I have a question, Paul. If this does happen, are we going to put like a little blinking red light like we did up on that,
There's
the one
going to be, it's going to have the, yes. And
just
it's
for a
gonna have-
temporary, I don't want it there all the time.
It's for a period of time that we do that, and it's going to also have the red reflectors on it so that people can see it when they're coming up in the evening.
We have to adjust the budget for stop signs next year, the number of stop signs that we've added in this township in the last year.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
They're better than traffic lights.
Yeah, that's true.
Next item will be a resolution amending the Employee Handbook, creating and deleting positions.
So the proposed resolution creates 2 new job descriptions and eliminates one. The first that's being created is a social services coordinator, and this is provided for in the 2025 budget. The Washington County has committed an annual contribution of $42,500 over the next 5 years to partially offset the cost of it. The purpose of this position is to work inside the police department under the supervision of the chief of police, and the primary focus is to assist residents identified by the police department and other township departments who are dealing with social welfare and mental health issues. The second position is the position of Recreation Facilities Coordinator. One of the things that has occurred is that there is a need for light maintenance on a number of our recreation facilities as well as inspections. And this person would act as an attendant at the recreation facilities, but at the same time do light maintenance on the clay courts, do inspections of playground structures. Right now, we do not have a certified playground inspector. This person would assume responsibility that they would be trained to be able to do the testing of the water at the splash pad, and then they would assume responsibility for inspection of the play features at the splash pad as well. The position we're talking about eliminating is the Recreation Facility Supervisor. This position hasn't been filled for a number of years. Its primary function was to do programming at the rec center, and in addition to that, assume responsibility for coordinating maintenance at that facility. That function's now being done by the Assistant Park and Rec Director as well as the program people over there. So at this point, there's no reason to continue to have that position within the list of eligible positions. So it's my recommendation that council approve resolution 2525, amending the Peters Township Employee Handbook, creating and deleting positions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was second. Any further discussion from council or the audience?
I just want to make a comment that I agree with this to create this citizen services coordinator, because I think it's a good idea, and we're getting a lot of money from the county to do this. But I think that really the county should have set it up as a regional thing, so that the use of this type of person could benefit all the police departments and municipalities in the county. And I know that they're throwing money at us, and I think that's great, but I think that going forward after this 5-year period, I would not spend the money on that unless it's very, very beneficial to the township.
Yeah, and I would agree with you that I think the opportunity is, like we do on some other things, is to partner with some of our neighbors and to share that across.
Yeah, if we all chipped in, if everybody chipped in, you could have several of these, and they could be at use throughout the county, or even,
Does Bethel Park have one too?
Bethel Park does not right now.
I thought they
have one.
advertised for one though at some point.
Well, it may well be. This in the North Hills. This is where this all started, and There's a large number of communities in the North Hills that have these. Our old friend Ryan Jaworski up in Hampton Township, they now have 2 and 2 interns. And Ryan, who, as we all know, is a pretty thrifty guy, says that they've more than earned their keep in Hampton Township.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it doesn't pan out, I think that, I think it's a good idea, but if it doesn't pan out, then it should be the burden of, all these communities to chip in and do it countywide.
I would agree.
And I think the county should fund it. I mean, if it's saving all that time and effort, they already have a big social thing out in Washington. I mean, you could go, they have all those different, agencies out there. I mean, it would be better if it was countywide. But I think for now, where they're subsidizing it for pretty much half of what we're going to be doing, I think that's a good idea.
Yes, for the record, Mr. Ross is in attendance now, so 5 voting going forward. Did somebody make a motion on this?
Yeah, we had a motion and a second.
Okay. So a motion and a second to, amend the handbook to create 2 positions and eliminate 1.
And here's the resolution of it.
It's number 020525. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, it's 5-0 on that. Final item under new business will be a resolution establishing in the Peters Township Police Manual the policies and procedures regarding this new social worker position.
So this has been drafted by the police department. It's been reviewed by the solicitor, and I think everyone's now satisfied that with regard to the requirements in the practices under which the social worker would operate. So it's going to be my recommendation that you adopt Resolution 2625, establishing policies and procedures regarding the social service coordinator.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion for council, audience? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's going to carry 5-0. Payroll and bills, Mr. Koster.
Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed the payroll and bills. I find them to be in order. I move they be approved as submitted. Are we going to do this again? Somebody give me a second. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Correspondence, we don't have anything there. So, does anybody wish to discuss anything under the department reports?
Nope.
No?
Although I do
One
want
thing
to...
that is available to you now is online are the annual reports from each of the departments, and I would highly recommend you take a look at those.
Appreciate getting those electronically this year.
I'm sure the copy machine appreciated it, too.
Yeah, really.
Okay, miscellaneous equitable sharing agreement certification.
Where there's a requirement that the chairman of council acknowledge receipt of this certification. We just thought putting it on the council agenda was a way that everybody would know that exists. So I have a couple of things else under miscellaneous. We have received proposals for the comprehensive plan. Our intention is to meet on March 17th with the members of the steering committee that consist of planning commission members, zoning hearing board members, and the 2 council members for the purpose of interviewing people with regard to those proposals and making a selection. So the other thing that we still need to do is to appoint 4 additional members. What I was thinking might make sense, I think we need some of them from the business community, so I was going to ask the Peters Township Chamber of Commerce to nominate somebody to be on that. We need somebody from the development community.
I've already asked Kim Claxton.
I was going to say, Kim's, there were 3 names that we came up with. If Kim's interested, he would be an excellent choice. And then we need 2 people from the community. And
I'll nominate Mrs. Merrill to be one of the 2.
Okay. I just think we need to open it up so that people have a chance.
Any of the 2 that we just interviewed tonight?
Know that too?
You tell me.
I have no problem with Mrs. Merrill.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that as
I mean,
well.
she knows, having been on council, she knows what most of the issues are.
and she would pay attention.
She's a contributor.
Did you guys have an issue with Mr. Peters then? Who we spoke to this evening, if he's interested?
I think we should reach out to him first and see if he's interested.
Okay. We are making progress on the EMS study. They have been able to resolve the issues with getting the data they need to be able to accomplish that study. And tentatively, they intend to be in town on April 7th to interview people, including council. If you could just mark that on your calendar.
I'm not here.
What day is that again, Paul?
April
That's
7th.
a Monday.
April
April 7th, Monday.
So that'll be at nighttime or during the day or?
Nighttime.
Okay.
Unless you want to do it during the day.
No,
but I
just
think
making sure nighttime's
I
better.
think nighttime's going to work better.
Okay.
Anything
That's all I
else?
That's it?
I have two. We started and initiated this reach out to our resident communication system.
Mhm.
There was a little blurb in, I don't even remember what it was in. Where are we with promoting that distribution?
So Minuteman, excuse me, Minuteman Press
didn't
is
remember
in
his
the
name.
process of printing off a mailer that's going to go out to every resident in the township. There's a letter on the front that kind of explains PT Alert Me and how the reverse 911 system works. It's signed by Mr. Lauer, Chief McLaughlin, and Chief Glover. And then similar to the information that you probably saw, Mr. Lewis, on the back side of that will be a QR code to sign up and to register. One thing that we're preparing for is we've noticed in a few folks that have signed up already that they're signing up for an account and thinking that they're done, as opposed to then, once they've created an account, actually signing up for the types of notifications that they want to receive. And so what we're doing is contacting those individuals and making sure that if they're signed up for emails, text messages, or strictly phone calls, that they're getting that information in the way that they want to receive that. So my hope is, and maybe within the next week or two, that those go out to the mail to everybody in the township.
Because I didn't think what we had done so far was
enough.
at all
Yeah.
sufficient.
Yep.
Second question, where are we with the next set of park plans and bids?
Well, I was all set to put together the financing package for this, and our independent financial advisor has lost his position. His firm has moved out.
Did Trump fire him or what?
Well, Janice has moved out of the city of Pittsburgh, so I've got to find somebody else to provide us that information. But the drawings are complete by the middle of March. They're going to be able to give us their best guess as to what that costs. So my intention is in March or April to get together with council to go over that and for you to give us direction as to what it is you want to do. If we're building it, it makes sense for it to go out as we're finishing up the splash pad.
Since Ms. Shanafeld is not here, I'll make her request. Where are we with the baseball field?
Tomorrow, supposedly, the turf goes down on field 2. We're going to have a walkthrough there. March 11th. That field should be pretty much done. On field 1, they have the pipe in place for the drainage system that they have probably 2/3 of it backfilled. They're in the position now to put the curb into which the carpet gets attached to. And they're continuing moving on with regard to finishing the dugouts as well as the backstop there. So.
Spring is in the air.
All right, thank you.
Anything else?
Do we have an executive session?
Yes, we do.
We do.
Of course we do.
Meeting is adjourned.